Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news show, update show, transfer news show, discussing all the latest Manchester United news and talking points with you guys, getting your guys' opinion, but also going through the news and discussing it. Lots and lots to talk about. Obviously, we beat Sheriff 2-0 yesterday, but we'll get into some of the things that have come out post-match towards the end of the video, discuss the Sheriff match a little bit with you guys and your thoughts on the 2-0 win. We don't play again for another just over 2 weeks, and that will be the Manchester derby. How will we prepare for that? Will Martial be back? Will Donny be back? We'll maybe discuss the Manchester derby a little bit in this video, but it is a long way away. But, you know, the positive about not playing at the weekend meant that we could play our strongest squad yesterday. We got to see Casemiro blended in with the strongest squad. Scholes has actually come out and made some comments about Casemiro and all of that. And was Scholes right when he's spoken about Casemiro and Sancho? Paul Scholes actually came. Paul Scholes, greatest Premier League midfielder of all time. He came out and said that Sancho should be in the England squad ahead of Grealish, which I spot on agree with. And you know what? Sancho's got 3 goals. How many Grealish got? None, I think. How many has Bowen got? None, I think. How many has Mount got? None, I think. I know, craziness. But we'll also be able to. I can't talk at the moment. It's like I've got something wrong with me. I keep stuttering. But we want to get into sort of the news that's come out, some statistics. But what I want to get into is Ten Hag's meeting. Ten Hag sort of leaked these having this big meeting with United. Sort of, you know, transfer plans, structure plans. A lot of information's come out about what's going to be happening in the coming days at United. There's going to be a lot of meetings over the international break to discuss structure changes. United need to get some scouts in, having got rid of Marcel Bat and Jim Lawler, not replacing them. Will Michael Keane's brother be sacked and we actually get someone like Michael Edwards in, or Paul Mitchell and someone proper in? Potentially new ownership, Jim Ratcliffe preparing a bid, hostile takeover, but also January plans, reports that we're going to have 70 million to spend in January. Where's Ten Hag want the money to go in January? Would it be Bellingham? Would it be Timber? Would it be Ivan Toney? There's even rumours that we'd maybe get Youri Tielemans in January because he would have 6 months left on his contract in January, so Leicester would have to sell him for 10 million or less. You know, there's a lot of information about what United are going to do, and that's exactly what we're going to get into this video. We're going to completely dissect it, but it has been said by Samuel Lutkes that we will be eyeing a right back, a midfielder, and a forward in the next part of our rebuild. And I would believe that we're looking at JURRIEN Timber to cover centre back and right back as backup for Dalot. I think we'll be looking at someone like Bellingham or Frankie de Jong for that midfield position, and I believe we'll be looking at someone like Osimhen or Ivan Toney for that striker position. And I believe that is what United's plan is to do, and that actually United seem, from many sources, more than willing to spend in January. Now, before I get into the live chat and all of that, I do want to say Manchester United spending in January. They're saying now we're going to spend in January. Ten Hag's come out saying we hope to spend in January. We have a plan for January and all of that. I hope Man United spend money in January. But what I will say about Manchester United and what I will say about this whole situation in general is United, the glazers out. The glazers out. We saw it. If you watched the game yesterday, the away fans were incredible. You could hear the glazers out chants. You could see the glazers out banners. The glazers out movement is still ongoing. If we get to, because there's the World Cup, there won't be games in. If we get to sort of early January, end of December, and the glazers out movement has died out, I do not expect us to spend any money in January. I generally think us spending money in January, one, depends on maybe injuries and crisis. Are we in a bit of a crisis? You know, did October go well or not? You know, but I think, you know, there will be 3 games a week. Ten Hag will want more depth. He'll want to spend in January. Ten Hag's spoken about his plan, what he wants in January, what he expects, which we get into in a sec. I only think we'll spend in January if there's significant pressure on the Glazers. I think the Glazers are saying now they're going to spend in January, using PR spin saying now they're going to spend in January because the Glazer out movement is still ongoing. There's still protests, there's still banners. But I think if this dies down because of the World Cup, people get distracted. I do think they will try and avoid spending in January because they spent 100 million on Anthony. Already getting reports that next summer Ten Hag's not going to have as much money to spend. Because of obviously the money we spent on Anthony. I am going to get into the news about who we're going to buy in January. Ten Hag wants investment in January, I know that. I don't know if the Glazers will do it. I think it purely depends on the Glazer out movement and all of that as well. But obviously, smash that like button for Jadon Sancho if you're happy Jadon Sancho's got to go on all of that. Guys, where would you prioritise this summer? Would you, because this January, Ten Hag reportedly this January wants a striker. Ten Hag also wants a right back, and Ten Hag also wants a centre mid this January. If you could only get one, would you go for a striker? Would you go for a right back, or would you go for a centre mid? Tell me where you'd prioritise. Tell me who you'd go for as well. And someone said, I don't think if the Glazers still remain the owners that they will invest in another midfielder, as they brought Casemiro for an extortionate price, 70 million. He's basically Frankie's replacement. You make a very good point there as well. But I think I think the Glazers don't want to sell United, so because of the protest, will be pressure to spend in January. But I do think if we spend in January, it could be someone like reported Youri Tielemans, who'll be available very, very cheap as well. David says we need a good forward that can be used as a sub. I agree with Martial's fitness, but hopefully Martial can get back and fit, and Ten Hag's given him a long time out. And someone said we need to go for Frankie de Jong next season. Time to wait on the bus with square wheels, brick windows coming again. But let's get into the news. Let's dive into all the information. Let me know if there's any issue with connection, Wi-Fi, all of that. You know what my Wi-Fi can be like. It's fucking dreadful. So as you can see on my screen, Erik Ten Hag spoke about how he'll be spending the international break. Ten Hag said, we will have many meetings. We have to improve the structures in and around the club. We will also look to We'll look to the window in January or next summer already, but we have to improve our way of play by making plans. So Ten Hag's saying this international break, there's going to be many meetings, there's going to be many board meetings to improve the structures in and around the club. This could potentially be little changes like getting some coaches in, getting some scouts in and all of that. He's saying we have to look to the January window, we have to look for next summer's window, we have to make plans already. Man United are already planning for January right now. Now, so far, we've been linked to Jude Bellingham, Ivan Toney, JURRIEN Timber. We've also been linked to Youri Tielemans, and we also got linked to Brian Brobbery of Ajax. Now, we know for a fact, because it's been said by Samuel Luckhurst, who gets information directly from the club, United's plan for 2023 is a long-term Ronaldo replacement. United's plan for 2023 would be to bring JURRIEN Timber over as another centre-back, but also he could be backup for Dalot. Get the likes of Wan-Bissaka out. Maybe if you get JURRIEN Timber and you can actually sell Maguire, get a bit of money for him as well. And another midfielder. It seems to be right back, midfielder, striker, with Ivan Toney, Frankie de Jong and JURRIEN Timber being the most linked names. We also know Ten Hag's a big fan of Victor Osimhen. However, Napoli might price him extortionately high. We also know Ten Hag is a fan of Jude Bellingham if we cannot get Frankie de Jong. And we know that, Ten Hag is also a fan of Dumfries. They are the potential January names going around. They're the potential and the rumours. Now, Ten Hag has said he wants investment in January. He wants January plans. He wants to improve the structure of the club. There's also reports of new ownership coming in. Jim Ratcliffe, and we won't get too much into the new ownership thing because nothing's really happened. But Jim Ratcliffe is preparing a hostile bid, a hostile takeover of United. United's not for sale, but Jim Ratcliffe apparently is going to go in with an offer to see if he can tempt the Glazers into selling United. We do know the Glazers are looking to sell shares of United. The Glazers are looking to sell a little bit of their stake of United, but they're not ready to sell the whole ownership of the club yet. Could that be changed if Jim Ratcliffe puts in a big bid? We will talk about that later and all of that. But it seems that Ten Hag's really getting down on Arnold, saying we've got to be organised for this January window. We're still in the midst of a rebuild. Just because we've won a few games, you can see we're not perfect yet. We're winning games 1-2-0. I want to be playing the attacking football I played at Ajax. Ten Hag's basically saying to the board, we are winning games, but I am playing a different way. Like, if you actually think of what Ten Hag's doing, what he's saying to the board and all of that, Ten Hag's saying to the United board, yes, we're winning games. But Ten Hag's telling the board, we're not playing the way I want to play yet. I'm winning games and I'm adapting my style into a more defensive way of play because I don't have the players to play the attacking football I want to play. Ten Hag's saying, I'm still 3-4 profiles at least away from playing the football I want to play and depth. Ten Hag saying to the board, we must plan for January, we must plan for summer 2023, because Ten Hag was annoyed at the lack of organisation by the Manchester United board from last summer. We were incredibly disorganised going into last summer. We only got some deals done last minute. Ten Hag was frustrated. He's got these meetings. He's talking to the board in this meeting saying, I want to play attacking football. I want to win against 4-5-0. I want to be playing the football that City play. I want to, Ten Hag wants to do the Pep Guardiola stuff. But he's saying to the board, we need to organise it so we can get my players in early next summer. I can get some players in January. So this time next year, I don't need to be playing as part of the bus counter-attacking football. We can play the fast, expansive football. If we play counter-attacking football, we will not get the best out of Jadon Sancho. We will not get the best out of Anthony because they're not counter-attacking players. We might get the best out of someone like Marcus Rashford, but I'm sure that he could adapt if we're playing well anyway. Ten Hag wants to play possession-based football where we create a lot of chances, where we link up and we play as a team. Now, Ten Hag is obviously building this United side out from the back. It's very clear. Ten Hag, within a month, has established his best back four at Manchester United. Ten Hag's established that his best back four at Manchester United is Dalot, Malacia, who was absolutely incredible, Molasse. Even when he played at right back, absolutely incredible. Varane and Martinez. Now, Varane and Martinez, in my opinion, are the key to this United side. We were a different side with Varane and Martinez at the back. And I've actually got a cheeky statistic I want to get up on the screen for you guys here, which I think is quite interesting, if I can find it. But Manchester United have conceded more goals against Brentford 4 than they have in their last 6 matches. So the last match Maguire started, we conceded 4 goals. Since we've dropped Maguire for Varane, we've conceded 3 goals, less than that, in 6 matches, 3 clean sheets, showing the real impact of Lissandro and Varane playing together. Ten Hag, if you watched my video earlier, spoke about the importance of Lissandro Martinez and Varane. Ten Hag is very happy that it's got Lissandro Martinez and Varane, and he's building a team out from the back. We've improved a lot defensively, but Ten Hag wants attacking a midfield reinforcement so he can play this attacking expansive style of football he wants to play. If you watch Manchester United at the moment, it's Lissandro Martinez always breaking the lines. Lissandro Martinez is probably one of, if not United's most creative players right now, and he's playing in defence. United's still missing that kind of creator in the midfield, that ball progressor. They're really missing that Frankie de Jong profile. I mean, Bruno's not quite at it. Eriksen is there dictating the play, but Ten Hag is our director, scout and coach. Right now, Ten Hag is literally everything. All the players we're buying is via Ten Hag, but Ten Hag wants to get in some proper scouts, some proper footballing scouts at United, because obviously we sacked Jim Lawler and Marcel Bout to improve the structure of the club as well. Someone said, should United sign Mbappe? And someone else said we should have made an efficient swap deal with Rashford and Mbappe before Mbappe signed a new contract. Mbappe was never going to come to United. But please do smash that like button. As Gaz says, let's get them likes up for Alice as well. David said he'd love to sell Maguire in January and get a better centre-back in. The thing is, I could see JURRIEN and Timber coming in and Maguire and Wan-Bissaka going out, because you only need 4 centre-backs. That could be Timber, Martinez, Varane and Lindelof as the 4 centre-backs. But then Timber can also be a backup right-back for Diego Dalot if problems happened. Timber didn't want to come to United because he wanted guaranteed World Cup time. I feel like we wouldn't get Timber in January just because Ajax, they're very funny about selling this season. I think next summer we will go in for Timber early. I actually think the first summer signing Manchester United are going to make will be really early June. I think we will get a signing done before the transfer window opens officially. And I could see us making a really early deal in for JURRIEN Timber. Ten Hag still wants him, because, he got Varane and Martinez, brilliant. But Ten Hag still wants that other centre-back. And he can also play right back. We know Ten Hag wants a backup right back. Ten Hag loves Dalot. Reportedly, Ten Hag's favourite player right now at United is Dalot. There was this whole report I read, could have been a load of bullshit, how Ten Hag's literally in love with Dalot. He thinks Dalot is this fantastic player. And you know what? I actually believe the report that Ten Hag has this love for Dalot and actually thinks Dalot's a fantastic player, because you can see it in Dalot's mentality. And Ten Hag is a manager all about mentality. But if you actually look at Dalot's mentality on the pitch, Diego Dalot actually said, he came out and said, we have a chance to be remembered as the players that brought Man United back. That's what Diego Dalot came out and said for United. We have a chance to be the players known for bringing United back. And I reckon Ten Hag said that right to Diego Dalot. And you can see with Dalot's mentality of, he's gone out for a goal kick, celebrating the way he runs, his passion. I do think that Diego Dalot is potentially one of Erik Ten Hag's favourite players at Manchester United as well. But, Dumfries is potentially coming in at right back. Dumfries is a player United want. I do think with a right back, though, he really likes Diego Dalot. I think Ten Hag is reportedly really happy with Diego Dalot because he's been absolutely fantastic. But I think if you get someone like JURRIEN Timber, he can be a backup right back if we need him to fill in there. But he can also be centre back with the likes of Maguire. I think I'm in love with Dalot. He's the secret assassin. Even last night, getting the pen and all. There's something that's happened to Dalot. Diego Dalot looks like a completely new player. I mean, I think it's one, having a manager like Ten Hag that's actually coaching him. These Man United players are actually being coached. I think when you buy such a young player like Dalot, how old was Dalot when we brought him 19? We brought Dalot at 19, such a young age. But let's be honest, Ollie wasn't a coach. Ollie was a manager. Ollie was friends with the English players. Ollie had his favourites. Ollie had his little clique at Old Trafford. But Ollie never played Dalot. And Dalot struggled for a few seasons because he was a young player and he needs to be coached on how to play. And I think Ten Hag's come in. He's obviously coached Dalot well. Ten Hag's put confidence in Dalot. But I also think Varane coming in and Varane playing next to Diego Dalot, it's had a really significant impact on Diego Dalot. Just just purely in the way he plays. And I think that back four is connecting so well together. You know, Eric Ten Hag came out and spoke about the Manchester United back four. I spoke about it in my video earlier, saying they look so good together, they all click well together, they all communicate well together. I think playing next to Varane has had a massive boost in Dalot as well, because Ten Hag basically said this: when Varane comes in, you've got a leader at the back that can command. You know, Maguire was there. Maguire's meant to be captain and leader of United, but Maguire's in the back. You never see him commanding. I've watched Maguire and Lindelof play together the whole of last season. Who was the commanding centre-back, Maguire or Lindelof? It was fucking Lindelof. You know, and obviously Ten Hag's not going to make a dig at Maguire or say anything bad about Maguire publicly, but Ten Hag's literally coming out saying how important it is to have Varane at the back, because you've got a leader that can command the defence and improve the players around him. And I think Ten Hag knows how important Varane is, because when you get Maguire, Dalot doesn't look as good next to Maguire. Martinez doesn't look as good next to Maguire. There's a lack of communication, maybe because Varane can speak Spanish and you know, Maguire can't, so Varane can communicate better with Martinez's potential. But Varane really brings in that leadership where Dalot almost knows where he is. Martinez knows where he's got to be. And, you know, I think, you know, it's centre-backs. It's not about the individual. It's about a pairing. I think that Varane and Martinez, you know, suit each other better. But I also think the defence, it has to work together. It has to defend together. Out of possession, it's got to, you know, make sure they're playing them offside, make sure their line is right. And a big thing is not just the coaching of Ten Hag and the impact he's had on Dalot, but I think Rafael Varane coming in and really commanding from the back and really having an impact from the back. And I think, you know, Ten Hag knows that Maguire doesn't offer that. The fact that Ten Hag's come out and spoke about how Varane is this great leader and all of that, and how we need Varane to be playing at the back to, you know, improve players, command and all that. I see that as Ten Hag sort of really, I think that gives me the hint that Ten Hag knows that Maguire isn't captain material. And obviously there's a lot of reports going around that Maguire will be stripped of Manchester United captaincy come end of the season unless he can turn it around. And that, you know, Eriksen, Varane and Bruno are more likely to get the United captaincy. And this is exactly what Ten Hag said, if you want the specific quote. He said, "We were good in possession, but we defended very well." He said, "Rafael Varane was in there as the leader. He puts everyone in the right position." And for me, it says to me, Ten Hag knows the importance of Varane. And he also says that Varane fits really well together with Martinez. And it's a little bit of a dig at Maguire, in my opinion, as well. But Champions League Varane is so superior to Maguire. I'm not all for the Maguire hate. I don't think Maguire's as bad as people make him out to be. But it's just, Varane is so superior to Harry Maguire. It's not even a question of who our best centre-back partnership is. He is Champions League Varane. And what I do want to say about Mr. Champions League Varane is I thought Varane was all right last season. I was frustrated with Varane last season because Rafael Varane was getting injured left, right and centre, and it was really frustrating me. I was like, fucking hell, Varane's injured again. Like, it was annoying last season to see Rafael Varane always injured for Manchester United, of course. And I still thought when Varane played last season, he was decent. But I said this, and I was talking about this with someone earlier today. I said, Varane and Maguire were all decent together, but they weren't amazing. We were never, you know, Varane this season looks so much better than he was last season. Now, Varane was decent last season, but I actually think Varane and Martinez just suit each other. I don't think Varane and Maguire suit each other. I think Varane and Martinez suit each other really well, because what Martinez's strength is what Varane's weakness is. And what Varane's weakness is Martinez's strength. You know, Varane and Martinez can communicate because they can both speak fluent Spanish, because Martinez hasn't fully learned English yet. But what I like is, the one thing Maguire is better than at Varane is passing and on the ball. Maguire's better at breaking the lines than Varane. Maguire's better than moving the ball forward than Varane. But every single aspect off the ball, Varane is clear of Maguire. You know, Varane beats Maguire in about 8 out of 10 aspects of defending. And the 2 aspects of defending that Maguire beats Varane in, Martinez has already got. Martinez is the best ball-playing centre-back in the Premier League. I'll comfortably say that. Martinez is absolutely fantastic at breaking the lines. You actually watch Martinez, and actually Casemiro, and Paul Scholes was saying this, Casemiro was breaking the lines from deep as well. You know, people were talking about Casemiro not passing. You know, that's good as well. But Varane's weakness is probably breaking the lines. He can be a bit like TONEY sometimes, where he's good out of possession. He does his job out of possession, but in possession he lacks. But that doesn't matter, because you've got Lisandro Martinez, the best centre-back in possession. So all of Varane's weaknesses, Martinez, it's a strength of Martinez, and I think that's one of the reasons they work so well together as well. I do want to see that Maguire play a lot better, because we will have to play Maguire come the season. We are going to be playing games every 3 days when the season gets going, and we are going to need to see a bit more of Harry Maguire at United. So I do hope Maguire finds form. But as I've been saying, you know, Lisandro Martinez, I was talking about this today, he is the best ball-playing centre-back in the Premier League. His passing ability, his ability to break lines is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He's such a fantastic centre-back, and him and Varane work brilliantly together. I think Malacia, 13 million quid Malacia, He's got to be up there for signing of the summer. Eriksen on a free, got to be up there for signing of the summer. And Diego Dalot, and you give credit to Dalot, but give credit to Ten Hag. Ten Hag, and if you've been watching my live streams for a while, I was saying back in April, as soon as Ten Hag was appointed, one of the first reports we read about Ten Hag was he's got a big plan for Diego Dalot. We were hearing as soon as Ten Hag was appointed, he wanted Dalot and he didn't want Wan-Bissaka. And that was a story that came up in the first week of Ten Hag being appointed. It's very obvious Ten Hag's taken a liking to Dalot and knew there was a player in Dalot from watching him, knew he was young, knew there was a player in there, saw potential in Dalot. And there are reports that Ten Hag's favourite player is Diego Dalot. And Diego Dalot's coming out saying he wants to be known as the player, or he wants Man United, this Man United team, to be known as the team that brings United back. Dalot's mentality, there is probably Ten Hag's mentality, is probably really rubbing off on Diego Dalot by some of the things Diego Dalot is publicly coming out saying. Casemiro looked good last night. Him and Anthony need game time. Absolutely agree with you there, Showcart Can. What I liked about Casemiro is I think a lot of people praising what Casemiro does off the ball, which is brilliant. Casemiro is known for probably being the best CDM in the world off the ball. Now, for me, Rodri is the best DM in the world, but I think if you're talking about just the off the ball aspect, the out of the ball aspect, or out of possession, Casemiro is the best DM in the world. And, there's a lot of question marks about Casemiro's passing ability. He had Modric, he had Kroos, he had Camavinga. They were all good passers. So, Casemiro's sole job at Real Madrid was to protect that back four. And United, the back four seems solid. We do need protection for the back four, definitely. But we need someone, like a Frankie de Jong, a ball-carrying midfielder. We're still lacking that profile in midfield to this day. We still need another midfielder, and whether it be Bellingham or whether it be de Jong to partner Casemiro as well. But Casemiro was absolutely brilliant yesterday at breaking the lines. He really had a proper impact on the game. And Paul Scholes even came out and said it. Casemiro is not known for being this amazing player on the ball, but his forward passing surprised Paul Scholes a bit. He's got ranges to his game. He's got ranges to passing. Let me actually put the quote of what Paul Scholes said up on the screen regarding Casemiro. He said, Casemiro surprised me a bit with his forward passing, his range of passes. I thought he was more of a ball catcher. He has more quality and showed more range to his game. And I think what we see with Casemiro is every minute that goes by, we see a much better and better Casemiro. I think Casemiro is a player that just needs game time really at Manchester United, because I think every minute that goes by, every game that goes by, we can all see a clear improvement in Casemiro. And I think a big part of it is, can we get the minutes in Casemiro's legs? Can we get the game time in Casemiro's legs? Because he's such a fantastic player, but we haven't seen the best of him yet. Do you think Castle will start versus Man City, Alice? Potentially. I think a lot of it depends on international break. I think McTominay has obviously been very good lately. You know me, I've been very critical of Scott McTominay. I've always been very critical of McTominay. I say he's not been good enough. He's not been consistent enough. But McTominay, and I have to say this now, as someone that's critical of him, hasn't put a foot wrong the last 3 or 4 games. So I think Casemiro is miles clear of McTominay, but McTominay hasn't done anything to be dropped. So it's a difficult one, really. I think he might just go with the lineup that started. I think the lineup that started versus Sheriff could pretty much be, if there's no injuries, the lineup that starts against Man City. I know 100% if there's no injuries, it will be Dalot at right back, it will be Melassi at left back, Varane and Martinez centre back, and De Gea in goal. Ten Hag's made it very clear, if you play well and you win, the main lineup for the Premier League games doesn't get changed. Very obvious, Ten Hag's got the strongest Man United lineup, bish, bash, bosh, sorted. He's got his back five sorted. The question for United is, the back five is sorted. Unless Maguire and Luke Shaw put in some fucking kind of miracle and find their, Euros kind of form, or the form that led up to the Euros, they ain't touching any of those players in the back four unless one of them starts having a stinker and underperforming, which I can't see happening because they just look so good together. The question mark is Eriksen again is pivotal. Could Bruno's role be under question? He is captain, he 100% win rate is captain. Ten Hag likes Bruno. Could McTominay, I think, will be fighting Casemiro for that spot. There's even rumours that it could be Casemiro, Fred Eriksen midfield free. I still think, the midfield is as it stands, will probably long-term be Casemiro, Bruno, Eriksen. And the attack is obviously Anthony on the right. It's between Sancho and Rashford to fight out for the left-hand spot, and they're playing quite well. And it's between Ronaldo and Martial to fight out for that striker spot, with Martial being back. But I think we could pretty much see the same lineup we saw versus Sheriff play against Man City. But I do think if Rashford's back, he'll play instead of Ronaldo. And people will say, why is Ten Hag playing Rashford striker? He's not a striker. Man City, whenever Man United, and I say this now, whenever we beat Man City, it's because we counter-attack them. Man City are incredibly vulnerable to the counter-attack. Everyone knows that. And I think Rashford's pace could be really crucial in causing Manchester City major issues. And I think we'd actually, I know people say Trashford and all of that and don't rate Rashford. I know a lot of people don't rate Rashford, but he's been good under Ten Hag. He's got his confidence back. But what Rashford has that Sancho doesn't have and that Anthony doesn't have is Rashford is fucking electric. And when it comes to counter-attack, Rashford and Bruno do it better than anyone else. When we were playing counter-attacking football under Ollie, it was the Rashford and Bruno show as well. No, Casemiro can't be the new Donny. No, Casemiro will play more and more and more. It's very obvious. Donny van de Beek is out injured, but I believe Donny will have an important role. Van de Beek in a 4-2-3-1 playing a 10. We have Bruno. We should use a 4-3-3. We have finally have a DM. I do agree. I want to see a midfield three of Casemiro, Donny, Eriksen in a 4-3-3. I think that would be really good. I think that balance would work really well. But a lot of people, there was actually rumours that Donny's going to leave in January. There were some rumours and reports that Donny van de Beek would be leaving Manchester United in January. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I do not believe for one bit Donny will leave Manchester United in January. I do not believe that is the case. In fact, Ten Hag spoke about this. Ten Hag spoke about Donny van de Beek. Ten Hag spoke about his plan for players currently on the bench. And Ten Hag said, and you know what? I'm going to get it up on my screen. So I'm going to show you exactly what Ten Hag said about Van de Beek, about the players that aren't playing. Let me find the quote. Give me 3 seconds. He said this, and I spoke about it in my video earlier, but I think it was such an important thing that I want to bring it up again. So let me get this up on the screen here. Just bear with me 1 second. This is what Ten Hag said about players not playing at the moment, really. Really? You're joking. 1 sec. Let me see. It's not loading. It's not loading. Maybe that will help. There we go. So Ten Hag said this. Ten Hag said there's a coming period where every third day there's a game. So literally after the international break, we are going to be playing a game every third day. From literally after the international break, up until the World Cup, it's a game every third day. And then after the World Cup, there's a game every third day. United are going to be playing twice a week for the rest of the season now. So the reason, we weren't seeing much of Donny or Fred or Casemiro is because we're playing once a week. So you don't need to rotate. Unless we get knocked out cup competitions, we are literally playing twice a week, every week till the end of the season now, assuming we stay in all the cup competitions. So Ten Hag said there's a coming period where every third day there's a game. We have to get ready for that. 90% of the players are away on international duty. The others will train proper. We have to prepare. I hope everyone stays fit, returns healthy, and then we attack. But Ten Hag's also basically saying players like Donny van de Beek, who we haven't seen a lot lately because he's been injured, they are integral to his plans. There are reports of Donny leaving in January, but Ten Hag is like, I'm going to have to rotate the squad a lot because we're going to have a game every third day. Donny, and I'll tell you this now, why Donny's going to play. And I tell you this, in a year's time, come May, I think we'll be sitting here saying how important Donny van de Beek is to United. And I think Donny van de Beek will play a lot between December and May. And the reason I say that is Donny van de Beek is the only player that can do Bruno and Eriksen's role. Only player at United that can do that. You've got McTominay and Casemiro fighting it out for that spot. Fred can play next to Casemiro, but Fred tried to play Bruno's role. We saw Fred try to play Bruno's role against Real Sociedad, and let's be honest, guys, it was absolutely shocking. Fred trying to do Bruno's role versus Real Sociedad. Donny is the only player that can do Bruno's role if Bruno gets injured. And a lot of people say they can see Donny leaving in January if a decent offer comes in. But the reason I don't is because we can't. If Bruno gets injured, no one can do that role unless we play Eriksen out of position. But Eriksen playing in that deeper role is pivotal and key to how Ten Hag wants to play in Ten Hag's system. Ten Hag doesn't want to move Eriksen out of that deeper role. Hence why Eriksen, when we played Real Sociedad, stayed in the deeper role and Fred played more advanced. It's a key sign of, Donny is the only player that can do that Bruno role. Bruno could get injured, but also we're going to be playing 2 games a week, every single week for the rest of the season. I think Donny will stay. I think Donny will be pivotal to United's long-term plans. At some point, Donny needed more game time. It is at Man United or another club. I think Donny, if he doesn't get game time come the end of the season, come when we're playing 2 games a week, maybe he'll leave under Ten Hag. But I solely believe that Donny will play a lot. Donny and Frankie were nurtured and developed in the same way. They're basically the same. They're really clever, versatile. They can play. The thing about Donny as well is he can play in that Eriksen role and he can play in that Bruno role. He's the only player that can really play in that Bruno role. And I think he's the closest player we have to Eriksen if something happens to Eriksen. Now, Eriksen is absolutely key to how Ten Hag wants to play. And we know Ten Hag has no plans to go back to McFred. Ten Hag likes Fred. And Ten Hag really likes McTominay at the moment. But it took Ten Hag 1 game to realise Fred and McTominay do not work together. Look how much better McTominay is next to Eriksen, and look how much better Fred is when he's not playing with McTominay. Fred and McTominay make each other worse. Ten Hag knows Fred and McTominay make each other worse, but Fred on his own, McTominay on his own, if they're playing with Casemiro, if they're playing with Eriksen, it's fine. So, Fred, you know, if something happens to Eriksen, it'll probably be Fred and Casemiro, but Donny can also do that role if Fred is poor. McTominay can't do that role. You know, Donny is there because he's the only real player that Ten Hag probably trusts to do Eriksen and Bruno's role. And they're, you know, we're going to play Eriksen and Bruno every game, but they can't play every single game. So Donny for me will definitely have a large involvement at United as well. Daniel says Sancho proving Southgate wrong. I said this earlier. It's mad that Sancho wasn't picked, but Mount, Grealish, and Jarrod Bowen were. I mean, I saw someone tweet this today. Like, I think Southgate selected 28 players and 13 were defenders. How about instead of taking 4 right backs, you drop one of the right backs and you take Sancho? It's absolutely mad as well. Steve said he thinks United are likely to finish second. It's better to finish second than third in the Conference League. Second in the group, I'm assuming, as well. And maybe Garnacho can be developed into a striker who's got the flair and technicality. I think Garnacho is a winger, but Charlie McNeil can definitely be a striker as well. Unfortunately, Donny is injured, but when Donny's back from injury, I believe he will play a lot as well. Guys, please do smash that like button and, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. We've got 400 people watching. I do want to get into the next talking point, which is sort of Ten Hag's sort of plans, his future plans, and all of that. So we know under Ten Hag, Varane and Martinez are key. We know under Ten Hag, he's got plans for Donny. He's got plans for the players that aren't going to play a lot. And we know Ten Hag wants investment in January. We know Ten Hag's a big admirer of Ivan Toney. We know Ten Hag wants a backup right back to challenge Dalot because he does not rate Wan-Bissaka. In fact, he played Lindelof at right back over Wan-Bissaka. And we know that Ten Hag would like another midfielder. We also know that Ten Hag would like United to make plans and changes to the structure of the club. We know that Ten Hag is a manager that demands perfection. He demands brilliance from the players. And we've seen in a lot of the Man United players that they're looking a lot better under Ten Hag. He's improving the players. They're looking a lot better. And the good thing is the players are taking a love to Ten Hag. And what I want to talk about is some of the things that United players have been coming out and saying, a real attitude change, very positive. You know, when we're hearing all these quotes about United and all the leaks that are coming out surrounding United are very positive now. David said, I know this sounds mad, but you could almost see Sancho sitting in Bruno's role. I 100% agree. I think Sancho, because he hasn't got that blistering pace, could be very good central in Bruno's role. I agree with you. Hi, Alice, how are you doing today? Just want to tell you I'm over the moon whenever I watch your channel. Thank you for the support. It means a lot. I don't understand how Grealish and Maguire both got in. Both have been good players for England in the past, but on current form, they shouldn't be playing. I do actually understand why Maguire gets picked, because I think he's probably one of Southgate's most important players because he's actually good for England. Shaw and Maguire look finished for United. They look like they ain't getting back in that first team unless there's an injury, because that back four, Dalot, Martinez, Varane, Luke Shaw, absolutely incredible. I do not see Luke Shaw and Maguire getting back in unless there's an injury, unless we start playing shit. But as I said, I don't think Luke Shaw and Maguire finished at United. There's going to be games coming thick and fast. There are going to be injuries. I think we will see them have a regular-ish role. I don't think they'll be week in, week out starters, but I think we will see Luke Shaw and Maguire play and Ten Hag rotate. Same with Donny, same with Fred. You know, Ten Hag's not Ollie. You know, people were saying, oh, Ten Hag's playing the same squad a lot. Ten Hag's playing the same squad a lot because this squad is constantly winning and because we're playing once a week. That's why Ten Hag is playing the same squad. When we had 2 games a week, the Real Sociedad game, he did like 9 rotations. Ten Hag is the manager where he rewards you on form. If you win, he's not going to rotate the squad a lot. But when there's 2 games a week, instead of playing Bruno, Rashford and the same players every game and knackering them and making Martial and Rashford play injured like Ollie did and making Bruno play every game like Ollie did and making Maguire play every game like Ollie did, Ten Hag's going to rest and rotate players because he's good at man management. He knows his squad. So Luke Shaw and Maguire will play. They might not be the main men, but they will be involved. Donny will be involved. Fred will be involved. Ten Hag's spoken about this. Ten Hag's come out and said there will be a period where I'm going to need to rotate. There will be injuries. You know, we're only playing once a week at the moment. Ten Hag's very clear on rewarding players on form. If you play well in training, if you take your chance when you're given a chance, you will keep your space in the lineup. Ten Hag's very clear on that. And, you know, the B team players, they will have a chance to impress because we will be playing 2 games a week. So there will be a lot of rotation at Manchester United and all of that as well. All it takes for Donny is confidence. He's creative and moving a lot. I think Donny's just not match sharp. He's barely played in the last 2.5 years. I think with Donny, there's a good player there. We see glimpses of it. And the reason I believe there's a good player in Donny van der Beek, even though he's not played much under Ten Hag and not got in the lineup much, is because that Watford cameo. Donny van der Beek got that 45-minute cameo, you know, under Ollie at Watford in that second half. And he was absolutely incredible. And that Donny cameo was one of the best midfield performances, even though we lost the game 4-2 because fucking Maguire got sent off. 4-1, sorry. That Donny cameo was one of the best things I'd seen. you know, from a United midfield performance all season. And I always believe there's a top player in Donny, and I think Ten Hag will unlock it. I think he needs to be matched up, he needs confidence, but I think, as I've said, Donny will be involved. Got a feeling he could be a UCL dropout that wins the UCL, said Steve. Hopefully United, but I do think that there could be a few big names dropping out the UCL. Alanga seems to be head of Garnacho at the winger role. Maybe one of them should be developed as a striker. We've got Bernie. We've got Benny. Yeah, good point. Anthony, Rashford, Sancho and Alanga, all wingers, Palestra, etc. But we've got Martial. I think potentially maybe develop Rashford as a striker. I still think he's an out-and-out winger. The reason Alanga plays over Garnacho, I think, is just pure for experience. I think Garnacho will be a better player than Alanga, and I think Garnacho is a better raw talent than Anthony Alanga, and I think most of you guys would agree with me on that. But I think the reason Alanga is picked over Garnacho is purely because with Anthony Alanga, you've got a player that knows Ten Hag's system in and out. You've got a player that's got a bit more experience than Garnacho. I wouldn't say that Alanga's overly experienced, but Alanga's played quite a few games for United. You know Alanga will do his defensive side of the job. And Ten Hag is very much a manager where it's about playing as a team, playing as a unit, the team linking well, the team playing well together. And why I say this is Garnacho's a brilliant player, and he's a brilliant flary attacker, and I think he's better than Alanga, but you don't know with Garnacho, is he going to forget to track back? Is it, can he, Alanga, is going to put in that shift for the overall team and be part of the system, because Alanga's a system player and Ten Hag is playing a system. Ten Hag's playing Ten Hag ball. He's playing a style. He's playing, if you're relying on individual brilliance, you want Garnacho to play. But if you want this kind of system, Alanga will kind of do his little role there, even if he's not amazing. But I do think there's still a good player somewhere in Alanga. I think Alanga really would do best with a loan, but I still think there's a decent player out there in Anthony Alanga. Guys, I just want to say, please do go and subscribe to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I'd really appreciate it if you did go and click that subscribe button. We're on 50,930 subscribers. We're only 70 subscribers away from 51k. So it'd be awesome if someone could click that subscribe button, and let's see if we can get 51k by the end of the week. It's my birthday on Monday, so can we hit 51k before my birthday? Please do subscribe. It's free. Gavin said he does feel for Wan-Bissaka. He could improve going forward and overlapping. He would be a mint fullback. I think Wan-Bissaka, he had a very good first season at United. He was very promising at Palace. I think Wan-Bissaka was a player that had a lot of potential, and I think a severe lack of coaching. I think Ollie didn't coach Wan-Bissaka. A lot of his issues were positional and decision-making, which is what your manager should coach in you. I think there's a good player in Wan-Bissaka. However, I think Wan-Bissaka isn't suited to play the way Ten Hag wants to play. I think, if you have a manager in like Jose Mourinho that's a more defensive manager that wins games playing more defensively, that's when Wan-Bissaka would be a good player for a top team. If Jose Mourinho was United manager, I think Ten Hag, is very similar to Pep. I'm going to compare him to Pep, not because they're ball, but attacking football. Pep has Cancelo and Walker and all of that. Ten Hag has, Wan-Bissaka wouldn't fit in Ten Hag's long-term style. I don't think Ten Hag really rates Wan-Bissaka. However, with Wan-Bissaka, how old is he? 23, 24? Very promising first season. I thought Wan-Bissaka was one of Man United's best players in his first season, and he massively, massively dropped off. There was a point when we were comparing Wan-Bissaka with Trent, remember, when he was so good. So I do feel that there is a good player in Wan-Bissaka, and I do feel like a little bit sorry for him because Ten Hag clearly doesn't rate him. But I do think, it doesn't suit Ten Hag ball, but I do think Wan-Bissaka will get a chance. Unfortunately, I do think Dalot will have to be rested. He will probably pick up an injury, as brilliant as it's been. But I do think, I do get what you mean as well. You could train a winger to be a striker, but it's hard just to build up. 100%. I mean, a lot of strikers do start as wingers, like Greenwood came moulded as a winger, but he had always been a striker, for example. But a lot of people would love to go on actually have more game time. Did you know De Gea started his career as a striker? So did McTominay. So did a lot of players. Because I think as you're a kid, everyone wants to play striker. So a lot of people did, to be fair. And someone said we could swap Tom Huddleston with Maguire. But yeah. Guys, please do smash that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I do want to get into my next topic, but let me just get into this. Rashford as a striker would suit counter-attacking system, unlike Ten Hag's actual tactics and positional progressive play. We've not seen the real Ten Hag way yet, like in pre-season. 100%. If we're playing Man City, if we're playing Liverpool, if we're playing Arsenal, teams that we're going to counter-attack against, I understand playing Rashford as a striker. But if we're playing Nottingham Forest, Rashford as a striker wouldn't work because we're playing in possession, and I 100% agree with that comment. But I want to get into some other topics in today's video. I want to get into some things that players have been saying about other players. I want to be getting into some news, updates, all of that and more. Will De Gea be sold? Is he De Gea in Ten Hag's long-term plans? Also news about United buying stuff in January. United. But Samuel Lutkes actually had this report, and I want to get into Samuel Lutkes' report because I should have got into this a lot earlier in the video because it's kind of what the title was really about. But anyway, it was sort of said by Samuel Lutkes that Manchester United are eyeing a right back, a midfielder, and a forward as part of the next phase of their squad rebuild, while a long-term goalkeeper could also come under consideration depending on the situation with David De Gea and Dean Henderson. So it's sort of being said, and I think De Gea is a fantastic player, and I think De Gea is probably up there in top 5 best Premier League goalkeepers of all time. But I think, De Gea is getting to a point where he's outdated. De Gea a few seasons ago was the best keeper of all time, but now football's modernised. You need to play more possession-based football. You look at Sanchez for Brighton, you look at Raya. Goalkeepers having quite a significant impact in the build-up of play. And, not Dean Henderson, sorry, David De Gea doesn't really contribute to that. As brilliant as a shot stopper as he is, if United are going to be shit United, 6th in the league, and shit defence and, playing counter-attacking football and conceding a lot of opportunities, then shot stopper De Gea was brilliant. But Ten Hag's long-term plan is to play similar football to Pep, to play similar football to Klopp. It's progressive football where he wants his goalkeepers involved in build-up play. And if De Gea can't adapt to Ten Hag's way in possession, it seems that we could be going in for a new goalkeeper in the summer. As brilliant as De Gea has been, as brilliant as servant as he's been, he's got 1 year left on his contract. Ten Hag's interested in renewing Diego Dalot's contract and extending Rashford's contract, but Ten Hag might go, De Gea's on mad wages, I want a new keeper and let's let him go. I don't know if the board will let him do that, but that's been reported. Ten Hag wants the right back to challenge Dalot. Ten Hag wants a midfielder, a Frankie de Jong type profile, maybe Bellingham if he can't get de Jong, a ball progressor. Ten Hag wants a long-term Ronaldo replacement, but Ten Hag probably wants a long-term De Gea replacement. And I've been saying this to you guys all summer. I would go for Sancho of Brighton. I would go for Victor Osimhen. I would go for Frankie de Jong, and I would go for JURRIEN Timber next summer. And those are the 4 profiles that is also being reported that Ten Hag is looking at as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the goalkeeper situation. I do love David De Gea. I think he's been a great servant to the club, but I think in the long-term direction that Ten Hag wants to go, as much as I love De Gea, as brilliant as he has been, if he cannot adapt his game, he will struggle and he will have a significant impact on the side because Ten Hag will want a goalkeeper that can contribute and build up play. Ten Hag's brought the Sandro Martinez for a reason because he's very good on the ball. I think the Sandro Martinez on the ball in possession is arguably the best ball playing centre back in the Premier League in terms of his ability to pass, his ability on the ball. And Ten Hag's brought him for a reason because Ten Hag's long-term plan is to play that kind of progressive way where you've got really good ball playing centre backs. Now he needs a good ball playing goalkeeper. De Gea's improving massively, but will De Gea be able to offer what he has? Pep, he had Bravo for a season or 2 until we got Edison in. It's all about, the long-term plan for De Gea as well. A lot of people talking about Leao. Now, Leao has looked very good, hasn't he? 152 likes, 300 likes. Guys, let's go for 300 likes. We've got 400 people watching. So if you're watching right now and you've not hit that like button, I've got a question for you. What are you doing? It's absolutely free to hit that like button. Let's go for 300 likes. Let me know, who would your long-term De Gea replacement be? I'm looking at players that I know are good in the Premier League. So I know, there's a lot of players out there that I just know are very good in the Premier League. Like, obviously, Sanchez and like Raya, the Brentford keeper. Who would be your long-term De Gea replacement as well? De Gea's a good ball stopper, but had a bit of bad footballer. He's just not brilliant on the ball. Someone said Neuer. I think Neuer's getting a bit old. And do you think Ajax would be happy if United did another Viking raid? Well, I don't think we go for Timber until next summer, but Ajax will have to sell players next summer, and they know that. There's a lot of players that will probably leave Ajax next summer. People saying Frankie, Timber, and Toney could be Ten Hag's long-term plan on top of a goalkeeper as well. Let me scroll down to the chat, and Cuckoo would be a good one, and Cuckoo will be a bargain, but I think, we'll be looking at an out-and-out striker rather than a player like Nkuku that can play across the front line. I think if we had ambitious owners, like Man City's owners, we could get Nkuku and a striker, but I think it's very much the Gea replacement, Ronaldo replacement, a midfielder and a right back. Come the summer, but I think if we had ambitious owners, I'd even throw Nkuku in there. I mean, I would throw if I owned Man United, I'd sign Nkuku, I'd sign Osimhen, I'd sign De Jong if we could. I'd probably sign Timber, and I'd probably sign the goalkeeper that Ten Hag wants. But unfortunately, the people that own our club, we don't know if they're going to spend much money. You know what them owners are like. They don't like it. Conrad Lema is a good option out there as well. So he'll be a free transfer. He could be a good deal as well. And De Jong or Bellingham, who do you prefer? De Jong, personally, myself. Bellingham was very impressive against Man City, but I'm in love with fucking Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong staying at Barcelona absolutely fucking broke my heart. I'll generally say that, but Nkuku definitely out there with a shout. Let's get into the next story from Samuel Luckhurst. So Samuel Luckhurst spoke about us looking at a forward, a defender, and potentially a goalkeeper. And it was also said by Samuel Luckhurst, which is obviously the title of the video and what's relevant to this video. So let me get this up on the screen here. It was also said that Erik ten Hag will attend recruitment meetings this month as Manchester United refused to rule out doing business in January. So again, you know, Ten Hag obviously came out. If you late to the live stream, you weren't here from the beginning. Ten Hag obviously came out yesterday, said that United had got lots of business meetings planned and lots of board meetings, planned throughout the international break because they're going to discuss the long-term plan, transfers, how they can change the structure of the club, potentially getting scouts in, you know, just changes to the general and overall structure of United. There's going to be a few meetings, bits and pieces going on regarding that, and obviously potentially investing in January. We've been linked to Ivan Toney for January. We've been linked to JURRIEN Timber for January. We've been linked to recently, we've actually been linked to Tielemans for January because he's obviously not renewing his contract with Leicester, so Tielemans will be available on a free. We've been linked to a few other players in January, but I have to say a lot of the January links aren't from the most reliable people. There's someone called Javier_EPP on Twitter that I'm not familiar with saying that we'd like to go for Ajax's Brian Robbery, who Ten Hag obviously wanted in the summer, but we let go to Ajax. We also know that United do have terms agreed with Cody Gakpo and could potentially go in for Cody Gakpo after having terms agreed with him as well. So there's a lot of rumours about who United could be going in for January, but we will discuss that more when January comes along. Now, I want to get into what Paul Scholes has come out and said about Manchester United as well in his comments. But Liverpool are linked to Bellingham. But with Klopp in this 7th season syndrome, you know, maybe you could prefer United. You never know. And Jordan Dehere and CR7 brilliant performances carried United in crucial games last season, 100%. But I think at the end of this season, they might be long-term replaced. Timber can play right about that, where we can sell Lindelof and Maguire, and Timber can cover Martinez and Varane, 100%. But I still think you need 4 centre-backs fit. But Yuri will be like 10 million in the summer because he's only got 6 months left as well. Any goalkeeper choice out of the EPL? If you took one out of the EPL, who would you take? I mean, obviously, Alisson stealing from Liverpool, but realistically, Nick Pope's been very good for Newcastle this season as well. I want your opinion, though, on what Paul Scholes has come out and said. So Paul Scholes said, I think Sancho deserves to be in the England team instead of Jack Grealish at the moment, and he's spot on. I think Sancho deserves to be in there ahead of Mount, ahead of Bowen. I think that we shouldn't be picking 13 defenders at 28, and we should get rid of Connor Cody and put Sancho in. Why do we need Connor Cody for the international break? Silly. But Scholes said regarding Jadon Sancho, he scored a really good goal against Liverpool. Then he showed some good things tonight. He is better when he pushes in the centre and participates in the game. Now, I've criticised Paul Scholes for some of his football opinions because sometimes it's absolute pure waffle that comes out of Paul Scholes' mouth. But I want to talk about this. I actually think Sancho would be really good central. And I think Sancho could have a really good impact on United playing centrally because I don't think he's a touchline winger. I don't think he has that kind of pace. And he, you know, Scholes said that, you know, Sancho scored a good goal, but he looks better when he comes in central because if you look at Sancho's best attributes, it's his ability on the ball, his creativity, his playmaking, his intelligence, and his runs. And I would say if there's an injury to Bruno Fernandes, instead of putting Fred in that Bruno role, because Fred was fucking shocking versus Real Sociedad, we are not trying that again, United. I cannot bear to watch Fred as a 10 ever again. But Fred in an 8 role, fine. Fred in the 10 role, no. But I'd love to see Sancho sort of play in that Bruno role and see what he impacts. And I actually might get this up on the screen for you guys. But I would love to see Sancho as kind of a 10, Martial as the striker, Antony as the right winger, Rashford as the left winger, and with maybe Casemiro and potentially Eriksen behind him. I actually think that would be a really good balanced team. And I've always thought I would like to see Sancho centrally just because I think his best aspects are those part of the game. I think, you know, as well, we're seeing aspects of what Sancho can do. And what I love about Jadon Sancho is how cool, calm, and collected he is. That's the way I describe Sancho. Every single goal he takes a good touch, he takes his time and he places it. When Sancho scores a goal, it's not just a fluky little goal tap-in. He's there and he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think Sancho is just such a classy, intelligent player. And I think once we start playing Ten Hag ball, as we discussed earlier in the live stream, we're not playing Ten Hag's proper style of football yet. We're playing a defensive version of what Ten Hag wants to play because we don't have the players in midfield and we don't have the profiles in midfield and certain profiles in the team to play attacking football Ten Hag wants to play. But I think once Ten Hag gets the profiles in he needs next summer, I think we're going to see the best of Jadon Sancho at United. I think he's really going to come out and unlock himself. And what I also love is how happy Sancho seems to be at United. All these reports of Sancho coming out saying this about being at United and stuff. You know, what I like is that, you know, Ten Hag's brought the happiness back to United. Ten Hag's brought, you know, the mentality back to United, where all the players are happy to be playing together. And what I also love about Ten Hag is Ten Hag, Van der Gaar and Fletcher are all present at the under-21s game tonight. Ten Hag's looking at the youth. The good thing about Ten Hag is he's told the players, you know, if you impress me in training, if you play well, you keep your place. I'm rewarding you in form, not favouritism. I'm changing it from the Ollie days. But I also love Ten Hag's, you know, how he wants to include the youth. How Ten Hag seems very interested in getting the youth involved. The fact that Ten Hag's gone and watched the under-23 game tonight, for me, just shows how much respect I have for him, because he's very interested in the youth, very interested in involving the youth. And I think, you know, Ten Hag is the manager to, you know, I think Zidane Iqbal, we could potentially see him getting a few chances coming up. You know, Garnacho, Elanga will get more and more chances, especially when there's 2 games a week. I think we will see more of the youth. But I did want to get up some comments that Sancho did make, and I really like how Sancho is talking about Ronaldo, saying when Cristiano Ronaldo scores, his confidence is up, so we can score 2, 3, 4 more. We're so happy Ronaldo got his goal yesterday. We've got Dalot coming out and saying we have a chance to be remembered as the players that brought Man United back. You could see a complete mentality change in the players. Last season, when the players were being interviewed, you have players like Maguire saying, well, if I'd have been that bad, I wouldn't be getting picked by the manager every week. I mean, what is that fucking mentality? And now the mentality of the players is we want to be the team that's known for bringing United back. And they're praising each other's players. They're not saying, oh, I get picked week in, week out, so I can't be poor like Maguire said last season. There's a definite mentality change in the players. You know, Sancho even came out and spoke about Eriksen. You know, all the players are praising each other, talking about how much they like playing with each other, talking about how much they like playing together. Sancho came out and said Christian Eriksen has many qualities. I think all of us know that. You can see that when he plays week in, week out. He's very comfortable on the ball and he's got composure to put the final pass. We're delighted to have him here. Players talk about how delighted to have Eriksen here. You know, the players we've brought in have really helped the mentality of the squad. Sandro Martinez has come in and he's like the butcher. We all know what Sandro Martinez is like. He's like the butcher. Varane and Dalot have coming out saying how they like playing with Sandro Martinez in defence. He's the butcher. He's known for getting stuck in. Casemiro comes in as a warrior. There was a report that we spoke about in my live stream about 3-4 days ago where it said that Casemiro and Antony had took Man United training to another level. Apparently, Casemiro and Antony have had this massive impact on United training, and they've really helped to take Man United training to a complete other level. It came out, you know, they're training so intense that the United players have got to train even more intense. You know, Malacia's got that dog in him, that real personality. Eriksen's coming in, the players are taking a love to him. The players that Ten Hag signed aren't just good players, but all the players are taking a love to them because they're setting an example of working hard in training, being good players. There's a clear liking of them. And what I like at United right now is there's definitely a clear connectedness. For once, we can actually go, you know what, these Man United players, I think they get along. These Man United players, they seem to like each other. These Man United players, they seem to be working well. They seem to finally be happy playing for United. Whereas in the past, I'd sit there and go, do these players want to play for United? But they're all coming out praising each other. Guys, as Daniel says, please do hit that like button, subscribe down below and share the video. Can we hit 300 likes by the end of the live stream? It's completely free. We're 100 likes away from 300 likes, so please do smash that like button as well. Malacia looks like an absolute, I don't know what that means, crake in training. No idea what that means. But I do know about Malacia, and a report came out that Malacia is actually one of the last to leave Man United training. Malacia works incredibly hard. It's been said he's always one of the last to leave Manchester United training. He's always there the earliest. He's like the first to come and the last to leave. And, you know, it's the personality of the players, you know, the mentality of, we've literally been told that Sandro Martinez, Antony, Casemiro and Malacia are some of the hardest working players in football. And we know Eriksen is such a mature, brilliant player as well. You know, the personality of all of Ten Hag's 5 signings have had a significant, brilliant impact as well. And you can see that reflect on the squad. You know, if he'd have brought in Arnautovic and Rabiot that are known for being stroppy players that cause dressing room issues, you know, you don't know how they would have impacted the squad. But he's brought in players that are known for really being good professionals, good players. And I was reading the report here, and there's a report here about, you know, what Lisandro Martinez has come out and said. And Lisandro Martinez is talking about why he chose United because they're the best club in the world. It was so easy for him to choose United. But what I really liked about Lisandro Martinez is he's come out and said, everyone knows how good Varane is. He's a legend for me. I'm really happy to play with him. But every player in the team is ready to play. What I like at the moment is, instead of there being leaks, the whole of last season there was leaks coming out where this player was blaming Maguire. This player was blaming Ronaldo. There was leaks coming out left, right and centre last season. Players blaming other players. Players having fights in Carrington. Players not getting along. Players complaining this and that. But now it's just coming out about players loving to play with each other. Sandro Martinez saying, you know, the happiness, you know, there's actually, you know, the players clearly like each other, and I think that is good to see as well. But yeah, the thing about Erik ten Hag is that he knows what he wants, 100%. Erik ten Hag's organised. I don't think, and look, I don't want to criticise Ollie too much because Ollie's done now, but Ollie, I felt like he didn't know what he wanted. We know Ollie wanted, you know, Grealish, Bellingham, and Sancho, but Ollie got Sancho and he benched him. You know, Ollie was very much like, yeah, Wan-Bissaka, yeah, Maguire, and kind of almost let Woodward do the bits for him. I don't think Ollie 100% knew what he wanted at United because we just had a team of 11 individuals. We didn't have a team that played together. It was 11 individuals relying on individual brilliance. I don't think Ollie really knew what he wanted at Manchester United. But Ten Hag does. You know, Ollie couldn't get Sancho. So instead, we got him Amad Diallo, who then he put out on loan and didn't use. Palestra, who put on loan and didn't use. And Donny van de Beek, who ended up going on loan and he didn't use. Ten Hag is using every single one of his signings. Casemiro's coming on. You know, Ollie would bypass and not bring them on. Ten Hag is heavily using every single one of his signings. Ten Hag is already preparing his transfer plan for next summer, knows what he wants in January, knows what he wants next summer. You know, Ten Hag said to the board, it's about buying the right players. I don't want, you know, Pau Torres because you can't get me Lisandro Martinez. I won't use Pau Torres. Ollie was very much like to the United board, well, if you can't get me Grealish, I'll take Donny. So he takes Donny, doesn't play Donny because he never wanted Donny, but he's like, oh, it's a signing, I'll take him. And Ollie, I don't think had a plan. He just thought, well, it's a signing, I'll take him. The thing that always made me think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never had a plan at United was when he begged Lingard to stay instead of play him and he didn't play him. When he begged Bailly to stay, made him sign a new contract and didn't play him. I just think Ollie just wanted as many players as he could possible and have as many options as he could possible, but didn't actually have a plan with players like Lingard that he promised was in his plan. Dean Henderson came out and said Ollie promised him he'd play and be a regular starter next season, and he wasn't. I think Ollie wanted to keep Henderson so he had the option. I think Ollie wanted to keep Lingard and Bailly so he had the option, so he lied to them and said they would play. I think Ollie lied to Donny, said he would play. And I think with Ollie, he was very much like, I'll take as much as I can have. Ollie, for me, was the kid that, my way of describing Ollie and my way of describing Ten Hag is, when you're at a buffet, Ten Hag goes to the buffet and he gets 3 or 4 pieces at once, eats that, and then comes back for more if he needs it. I think Ollie's the kid that will go to the buffet and put everything on his plate, have eyes bigger than his belly, and not want to, you know, eat everything on his plate. I think Ollie was just like, I'll take what I can get. I'll take Donny. I'm not going to use him, but I'll take him for Grealish. Ten Hag was like, well, if you can't get me Martinez or Timber, I don't want anyone else. That was Ten Hag's mentality. Now, I don't want anyone else. Get me who I want, no one else. That was Ten Hag's mindset. Get me Anthony, no one else. No one else. No. I don't want. Ten Hag said no to Ousmane Dembele. Ten Hag said no to Dybala on a free. Dybala wanted to come to United on a free. Ten Hag said no. He said, I want Anthony and Anthony only. Ollie, if you couldn't get Anthony, would have got Dybala on a free. Ten Hag made it very clear, this is what I want. And I think with Erik ten Hag, we've got a manager at United who very clearly knows what they want, very clearly has a plan. And I think for me, that is a massive thing. That is a very good thing as a direction. Ollie's the kid that put all the food in his plate at the buffet, eyes bigger than his belly, and didn't eat all the food in his plate. Ten Hag is the guy, he's like, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, this is who I want, and he will have exactly what he wants as well. There wasn't enough room on the bench for the amount of players Ollie benched. Exactly. Ollie was a hoarder. That's a good way of summing it up. And Ten Hag didn't want Casemiro's main target was Frankie. Yes. The only player United signed that Ten Hag didn't actively want was Casemiro. But Ten Hag knew we needed a 6 desperately and realised we couldn't get Frankie and settled with Casemiro, who he would say yes to. You know, there's players that the United board suggested to Ten Hag he didn't want. Ten Hag didn't want Neves. Ten Hag just realised he couldn't get Frankie and he went for his second alternative because even though it was Frankie de Jong and only Frankie de Jong to him, he realised midfield is too important to not buy someone there this summer, having the players we'd lost as well. If de Jong was here, Eriksen wouldn't be playing as much. I agree. I think Eriksen is doing the role de Jong was meant to do. And de Jong can sit there on the bench for Barcelona because Pedri and Gavi start over him, where Eriksen, who when we signed him, we didn't think would be our most important player, where Eriksen is United's most important player and pivotal to everything they do. That would have been you, de Jong. That would have been you. You would have been our most important player, but you decided to stay at Barcelona. And I hope de Jong regrets that because I'm salty. Any news on the Glazers selling? But Jim Ratcliffe is preparing a hostile takeover, a hostile bid, but we don't know if the Glazers will accept or not. I think the fact that the Glazers are making plans to spend in January, for me, suggests that the Glazers do not want to sell United. I think Glazers will only sell United if Jim Ratcliffe puts in a fucking serious bid, because I don't think the Glazers are interested in selling United. I don't think they want to sell United. It really depends as well. Sancho and Anthony will play even better when Erik ten Hag implements a style of football. I said that earlier in the live stream, 100%. You know, Sancho and Antony don't suit the counter-attacking play that we're playing a little bit at the moment. Once you play attacking, expansive football, it's really going to suit them. I think it's really going to play to their strengths. I honestly do. I'll come out and say that now. I think that, you know, I want to see Sancho play a little bit more centrally at United. I want to have him have a go in Bruno's role. But I think Sancho and Antony are such Ten Hag players. And we are we're about 3 signings away from playing the way Ten Hag wants to play. We're a striker, a midfielder, and a goalkeeper away from playing Ten Hag ball, the serious Ten Hag ball. Because we saw Ten Hag at Ajax. Ten Hag's stats at Ajax was like 90 goals scored and 10 goals conceded. Ten Hag is a serious manager. And if the board stick with Ten Hag, they stick with his plan, they back him, I'm 100 million% confident Ten Hag will succeed at United. And for me, we really need new owners, board changes, structure changes for that to happen. I don't think the owners want to sell, but there is potential the owners could sell. Ollie is a manager, not a coach. Eric Ten Hag's a full-on coach. Ollie admit that himself. Exactly, you're spot on there, Gavin. Because the reason, and I also say this, Ten Hag, you can see him coaching players, you can see him improving players, you can see Ten Hag was more hands-on in training. I think Ollie left Michael Carrick to do after training. Like, Ollie would wander around training. Ten Hag's there in training. You don't see videos of Ollie leading training sessions. You see videos of Ten Hag leading training sessions. Ten Hag is more than Ollie. Ollie's a manager. Ollie's like Fergie's a manager. But Ten Hag is a coach and a manager. Ten Hag's here to improve the players. Ten Hag is a tactician. Ten Hag's here to bring the best out of the players. And I absolutely love Ten Hag for that. Carricky, as they say. And in a few years, will be known as Champions League Ten Hag. I mean, I'd fucking love that. I mean, the thing is, would you guys, I'm going to do a poll. Would you rather win the Premier League or Champions League? I'm actually really intrigued because it's been longer since you've won the Champions League. But I do think the Premier League feels more special because you build up to the Premier League for a whole season. And I think winning the Premier League is such a big achievement. What would you rather win? So I'm going to put a poll in. I'm going to put UCL or PL. What would you rather, like, if you like, what would you rather Man United win under Ten Hag? Obviously both Optimus would be the ideal answer. But the way I think of it, it's like the Champions League we haven't won in so long, and it's amazing, the Champions League. And if we won our 4th Champions League before City won their first, it'd be fucking brilliant to rub it in, I think, as well. And I love the Champions League, but I do think, even though it's been longer since we've won the Champions League, and I think the Champions League is almost more special, I'd almost prefer to win the Premier League because I feel like that is our trophy. And I think with the Premier League, as you build up to it all season, you work towards it all season. I think it's the Premier League. I think it's the hardest trophy to win in football, not the Champions League. That's knockout football. That's a bit of luck. So I think I would probably choose the Premier League because I generally think if we were lifting the Premier League trophy on the final day of the season, I think I'll fucking cry. And I think I'll be happy with the Champions League, and that's amazing. But the Premier League, the race, the build-up, I don't know. You know, I just feel like it is a bigger achievement. But I mean, ideally both. Ideally them fucking all. But I'm just intrigued to see Premier League or Champions League. Because I don't know. Like I can't really think. I can't really decide. But then it's been so long since we went to the Champions League. Like, well, I must have been 9-8 when we last won the Champions League. 65% of you are saying Premier League is close. When did you not? I think we won it in 2008. Last win the UCL. I know we're in the final in. When did United last win the Champions League? I should know this. I know we're in the final in like 2011. We won it in 2008. So I was 7. I was 7 when we last won the Champions League. I remember it. I actually remember it. I also remember that Champions League final we lost to Barcelona as well a couple of years after. I do remember when we last won the Champions League. It's been a long time. I think for me, because I was 7 when we won the Champions League and 13 when we last won the Premier League, maybe Champions League is a more vivid memory. I remember very solely us getting knocked out of the Champions League by Barcelona, I think the following year. But yeah, that was the following year. That final as well. But yeah, a lot of people saying 2008. Yeah, I knew it was 2008, 2009, but I couldn't remember off the top of my head as well. I think Manchester United's in-depth squad is 2-3 years away from City, Liverpool. I think, and you know what, you're right, Diego. But someone said this to me today. They said to me, the top 4 is a lot closer than you think. Man City will win the league, but Liverpool, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, and Spurs are a lot closer than you think. And someone said to me, they think actually City will run away with the league. Liverpool don't have the depth. They just don't have it in them anymore. They said to me, they think Spurs, Arsenal, United, and Chelsea and Liverpool A lot of it will come down to injuries, luck, you know, maybe investment in January and all that, because they said, I reckon one of those teams will have a fucking bad season. So that would be interesting. But look, I want to thank everybody that tuned into today's live stream. Really good live stream, guys. So big up tuning in. That was an embarrassing loss to Barca. I remember absolutely getting fucking obliterated. But thanks everyone for tuning in today's live stream. Please do smash that like button. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I will be back tomorrow with another video. There will be 2 videos out tomorrow. So do make sure you subscribe. I've got 2 really good videos out tomorrow talking about what's going on inside Manchester United. So do subscribe for that. Of course, share the video. Of course, smash the like button on the way up. Big up everybody. I won't be live tonight because my birthday is on Monday, but it's a bank holiday, so I can't do anything on Monday for my birthday. Great. So I'm out tomorrow night celebrating my birthday, so I won't be live unless there's some breaking news and I do like a 10-minute live on my night out, which I think would be quite funny. But we won't. So I'll probably see you guys on my Sunday night live. Big up everyone for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.